I believe and I know that there's a loving God that knows you and knows and is probably already answering your prayers right now. Like he's already making ways for you to overcome and to see the light. And hopefully you can find some inspiration from these interviews and from the men who love God. Hi, I'm Eric Robertson. I'm a music producer. I'm a brother, a father, a son, a husband, and most importantly, I believe in God and I believe in his goodness in my life. I'm doing this podcast for a number of reasons, but the main thing is I feel like I've been blessed with like this amazing compassion for my fellow man. I feel like I've been blessed with like this awareness and sensitivity to the plights of like my brothers, the brothers out there, men going through the things in life. And the reason why I have this sensitivity is because the last couple of years have been the hardest of my life. I've gone through things that I never thought I would. I thought I had things figured out, and then something happens, and I've never cried alone in my truck before. You know, like I've never felt such despair or felt so low. And now that I've started to come out of it, I look back on it and like this experience was a treasure because now my heart has been opened so wide and I see things and I see people differently. And I just have this like love and care and compassion for my fellow men. Now, I don't like being in front of the camera. It's not my thing. I'm a music producer, so I make backing tracks for artists and I help them sound good. And my name's not on the title of stuff, but I'm the one who helps them get their art out. I also married a vivacious, show-stealing wife who loves being on camera, and I love supporting her and producing our podcast and just making, helping her look awesome. I just love being in the background. But the thing about God is he doesn't like us to be small, and he often has other plans for us. And living just a comfortable life is not what we're here for, even though it sounds really nice sometimes. So here I am feeling this love and compassion for my fellow men, and I get this idea to do a podcast. And I know somehow I immediately know the title. The title is The Men Who Love God. And I know it's somewhat provocative, and I'm totally okay with that because I am a man who loves God. That's who I am. And I often feel super lonely and isolated and not connected with other men. And I want to know and believe that other men are out there that are going through the same things and have the same concerns, trying to raise a good family and stay close to God. And so I believe and know there's other men out there, and I want to hear from them. I recently learned that 80% of suicides are men. And somehow this doesn't shock me, and it just devastates me. It's suicide period is sad, but 80% are men. And I think there's a cultural crisis right now where men feel dejected. They feel like they're told to be quiet. And this is a modern phenomenon. It has not always been this way, but it is the reality right now is men feel stifled. They feel unfulfilled. And I think this is why video game use is like through the roof. Pornography is a huge problem. All these escapes, like we have these urges to go out and conquer and live purposeful lives. But, when you feel dejected or you feel like there's no way to do it, then you go to these things that aren't fulfilling and can numb and then damage and make a weak society. I feel like the scripture, when thou art converted, strengthen thy brethren, is really speaking to me. And although I am a Christian, this is not going to be a Christian podcast. This is going to be all religions. I'm going to start with my sphere of influence of who I know and who I think would be great guests, but I want to branch out, and I would love suggestions of people who would want to come talk about their lives, living their lives with God. And to be frank, my goal is to have the Dalai Lama on here. I know it's like a pie in the sky, but I want to travel to Nepal, and I want to interview him. He's one of my heroes. One of the catalysts for this is I don't want to feel alone. I want to feel connected. And I had this experience at a church function a couple months ago where I went, and it was like a dinner, and I saw this brother who I love, and I hadn't talked to him in a while, but his wife has cancer, and they've been going through this just awful time with all these treatments. It just takes a long time, and there's good news and bad news, ups and downs, and it's just brutal. And so I went up to him and said, dude, how you doing? And he gave me the classic, like, I'm doing okay, with a half smile. And normally I'd be like, okay, cool. Yeah, right on, dude. That's cool. But I didn't let that slide. and no fault to him, but I was just like, dude, it must be so hard what you're going through. Like, you're going through so much, taking care of your kids, supporting your wife, going to work every day, worrying about finances, medical bills. I mean, it's just so much weight on him, and I knew it. And just me reaching out and digging a little deeper to him was so powerful for both him and me. Like, he kind of lit up and like, yeah, he felt heard, and I don't think he expected that response. And he's like, yeah, it's been so hard. And he kind of like told me what was going on. And I'm like, and he knew that I'd been going through some things with my family, and we just connected. And that bond was so powerful and like so like sacred to me that it was another kind of reason why I knew that this podcast needed to happen. And I just want to say that no matter how bleak your life may seem, how much darkness you see in front of you, like how unreachable a good life seems, that I believe and I know that there's a loving God that knows you and knows and is probably already answering your prayers right now. Like, he's already making ways for you to overcome and to see the light. And hopefully you can find some inspiration from these interviews and from the men who love God. Thank you for listening.